go. Okay, so I'm Patsy on my YouTube channel, babe. So anyway, I have a guest today with me. Um, one of the young ladies that I witnessed grow up. One of my neighbors, my daughter's friends, who through Providence or whatever gave me the opportunity to have all the kids that I wanted, because I wanted five when I was growing up. But I ended up with all five daughters. That was interesting. It was an experience, and I was blessed to be able to help their father raise them, along with my daughter, because she discovered them and brought them to my life. And I'm grateful to have had that experience. So, because we all get older and grow up, my baby has babies of her own who have reached that age and that stage where it's that mommy daughter tug of war business. And I am honored that she turned to me for some advice today. Um, because we don't have to talk a lot. But if I feel the need, if she feels the need, she feels like she can call. If I'm around, of course I'm going to talk to her. And I'm sure it works both ways. I'm going to put on a little lipstick because I am a little vain. You know that. So, so honey,
I can't believe you look the same after all these years.
I hope they heard that. That is so cute. She said she can't believe that I look the same after all these years. When I met these young ladies, let's see, around 1985, 6, maybe 1986, 87. So my daughter was about 7, 8 years old, and they were four little girls, right? And you were the oldest, and how old were you?
In 1985, oh God. How about this? I'm 42.
Okay. So figure she was the oldest daughter of oldest sister of four girls, and their dad had custody of them. So their mother wasn't available to them, like most of the kids that we grew up with, right? And
That
I,
was 35.
huh? You were
That
five?
was 35 years ago.
35 years ago. Yeah, because Darius is 40 now. Mm-hmm. Yep, she just turned 40. So yes, whatever. Do the math. I'll figure it out. But I was grown. I was grown. I was an adult when I had my daughter. But I was a young mom, a single mom, which wasn't typical either. So their dad being a single dad raising daughters, all girls, and me being a single mom, no husband, no boyfriend, nothing. And so we kind of made a family, right? We kind of Brady Bunched it a bit, and her father was retired or close to retirement, right? So he was available. He was home.
Yep.
So he was home, so he was like a housewife kind of dad looking thing, right? I was working, new. Um, First I worked close by because I worked at Computer Associates and it was in the same town. I worked at Chase, things like that. But then I got this job as a correction officer, and that took my presence away quite a bit, but not before I got a chance to bond and continue to bond as the girls all grew up and went on with their lives. And we lost touch sometimes, um, just because of life, and growing and moving. And I had a fire and I moved out of the town and, things like that. And we talked about my daughter and her issues. And so everybody grew up, married, moved to different states, and have their own families and stuff. So A few years ago, Deborah had the unfortunate experience losing a daughter, a baby. And her daughter, Brittany, was seven,
Seven.
7 years old when she passed away. And the anniversary of her passing was recent, like on August 1st, right? And so, because, social media, and we're friends on Facebook, she had made a post, and I came across it, and I felt I needed to reach out to her on today. So we've been talking, and got to talking about a lot of things, about being a mom, dealing with daughters, dealing with teenagers, and I hope that you all can hear Deborah, because I can even move my microphone, I guess, so that both, I guess if I put you closer here, actually, they could hear you better, right? I just want you to be able to see the cards. But for the first part of this is a testimonial, I guess, because Deborah, out of the blue, last year, she called me up and on Messenger, and she said, "Miss Bell, I just want to thank you for being a mom to me and my sisters." And I was like, "Huh? Where'd this come from?" But I was pleasantly surprised at a time when I really needed it. And then she didn't know, what I was going through with my daughter, and it was just it it warmed my heart. It made me cry, And sometimes when I'm dealing with my daughter, I remember what you said to me. And so today, when we were talking, right out the box, before I even told her that I wanted to do a reading for her and the baby, um, Brittany, after she was telling me about her daughter, Ashley, who is at that age. Uh, how old is she now? 17?
18.
Age of consent. The age of I'm grown. You can't tell me nothing. I know what I'm doing. If you knew better, then your life would have been this and that. Because they,
Amen.
I know. And I'm trying to calm her down, because what her daughter don't know, she don't want to fight with her mother like that, for real. Really. She don't. Because, sometimes, people have a good self-control, but sometimes the wrong person step to the wrong person. That's called a karma passion. Don't press it, baby. You don't want to be. You don't want to get the smoke. Is that how you would say it, right? You don't want the smoke, honey, because there's a lot of smoke that's hiding, a lot of fire hiding underneath that quiet mom. Now you, I'm sure, can be a little overbearing because you are John's daughter, and I know John, and too. So you ain't no easy pot to get along with either, dear. Right. So at least you admit to it. This is the first step towards healing. But it's still an all, whatever the case. We don't want to get it where people are putting hands on one another. And just because you haven't done it, I want to commend you on that, because that's a lot of self control, I know, for you. But I just want to be able to warn your daughter, as somebody that don't know her either. But for her own safety and continued ascension, don't. Because it's not that she would mean to, but a lot of aggression and anxiety and stuff, builds up after a while, and the wrong person ends up getting it. Innocent or not so innocent, but you just are the one that poked the bear that day. Don't poke the bear. Not that bear.
Yes, I'm gonna take your word.
Especially when she got people that could testify that she blacks out when she gets upset. Don't even, not even worth it. Say what you gotta say.
Watch yourself because
I'm gonna send you this video. Yeah, don't do it to yourself. Don't do it.
You
Don't.
get really angry, so I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, don't do it to yourself, honey bunch. Do not. I don't visit people in jail at all. Mm-mm.
Will you send me $5 for some therapy?
Yes. Mental health therapy. There's all you can do it online. You can do family counseling. You can watch the videos on my YouTube channel. Get but go whatever. Take use a talking stick if you have to talk to each other. Use that method. You got that Native American blood. You know what to do. Do those things. Burn some sage around your house too. Also, bring that energy down.
I'm scared from this sage in case there's something in here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You need to burn the sage because you need to balance that energy out.
I'm scared of doing it because if there's something in here, I don't want to make it angry.
You're not gonna make it angry. You're gonna clear it out. When you burn the sage, you open your windows and open your doors, and then you let it go out. It's gonna calm the energy. It's gonna calm you down. Just imagine like if you were sitting in a room with people smoking reefer and you got a contact high. I'm telling you. That's how I kept Darius quiet a whole lot was that sage. That it'll calm the cats, the dogs, the kids, you, everybody. Once or twice a month, clear out that energy. Because you're living in a very feminine energy situation. Because you and your daughter are synced up, right?
Yeah.
Your birthdays are close to one another, and your cycles are synced up with one another sequentially. So as you as one is cycling through one part of the cycle, the other one is cycling through the other part of the cycle, and there's going to be that kind of thing because there's no. Well, your husband is there, right?
No.
Okay, so there's no all right, but there's no masculine energy to break up that feminine energy on a 24-hour basis. No. Right. It's not like that. Visitors and things like that, no. But you don't have masculine energy except your own masculine energies. Which again, what's the cat? Please tell me the cat is a boy. Tell me he's a boy.
It's a boy named David.
Ha, thank you, King David.
She said, thank you, King David.
That's maybe why the only reason the two of you haven't killed each other yet. Because that even though it's a cat, it's okay. See, that's why I was talking about kittens and lions and that kind of thing when I was talking about the analogies and stuff. Yeah, pay attention to that energy because your daughter's Ashley's birthday's in May.
Yes, she's May 7th and I'm May 17th.
So that's Taurus.
I said we're both Tauruses. We're always locking on.
Lord Jesus, yeah, that's why the cat is there, so to keep y'all from killing each other. Okay, but the point is, Deborah was saying some sweet things about me, getting back to me, right? There's my narcissism coming out. But I wanted to do this part of the video because this is personal to me. So, what was your experience growing up with me around your life?
You were a great mom. You were one of the only influences I had as a mom. Oh my God. And the way you treated Darius, she's so clean. All the clothes she wore were brand new. We used to, because it was four of us, and my father couldn't afford no clothes for no four girls. And used to always take her to get her hair done. And we used to always want our hair done, but my father couldn't afford to get no hair done. For real, at a real beauty shop for a girl, being a single dad. Yeah. And he used to sit down and talk with us. And I remember, just really coming to you, and I was really crying, can I please call you mom? Because I just wanted somebody in the world to call me mom. And you looked at me and you was just like, no, you can't call me mom. And I was like, and her. And that was so bad for someone to be able to hurt my feelings. Like, you know, my feelings.
That's coming in broken up. See, the devil is a liar. That whole thing came in broken up because they don't want this to get out. I swear.
No, I'll say it again. I remember prior to you saying, "Can I call you mom?" And you said to me, you know, I didn't have a mom. Like, there was no female authoritative figure in my life that I could trust. I couldn't trust anybody. So you was looking at me, you was just like, "No, you can't call me mom." And my feelings was hurt. And you explained, you can't call me mom because you have a mother.
Yes, you have a mother.
And even though at the time my mother was nowhere around or nowhere to be found, you were there. So, you know, you were the only female influence besides my aunt and my next door neighbor that I could think of that I could trust. I couldn't trust anybody else. They all tried to hurt me or abuse me or beat me. And you were the only one who could tell me about myself and tell me the truth, and I would sit there and listen.
I didn't tell you that you couldn't call me your mom because I didn't want you to call me mom. I just felt that I didn't want to confuse the situation and I didn't want to disrespect that relationship because regardless of what, no matter how much I love you and your sisters, I'm not your mom.
And that's what you told me.
Yeah, I'm not your mother. You can talk to me like your mom. You can come to me like you would your mom.
You would give me a hug like you was
I'll
my mom?
hug right. I'll give you a hug like I'm your mom. Anytime. I'll be there for you like I'm your mom, but I am not your mother. You have a mother.
And Darius, I don't even know if she'll ever know how much of a blessing it was for her to have a mom. I mean, not a fake mom, not no crazy mom. I mean, Darius had a mother who was willing to raise her kid. I used to yearn for that. I used to cry for that. But I never had that.
Well, like I said,
I had a dad, though.
you sure did. You had a dad, and he was Darius's dad too, and she loved him like that also.
And she called my father
And
dad.
she called your father dad, and your father had no problem with that because all these girls were calling him dad, 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 dad. He was happy for that.
Papa, then he was Mr. Morgan.
Yeah, he was. Yes, he was Mr. Morgan, and he's always Mr. Morgan to me. Even though he told me you can call me John, I was like, no, Mr. Morgan.
But my dad was fresh. I know my dad.
Oh my God! Oh my God! And he was old enough to be my father. I was like, what? No. Yes, this man got blessed with these babies, and he was adult. He was old enough to retire from his wonderful job with Halliburton.
My daddy had us at 48, 49, 50, and 52.
48, 49, 50, and 52. That's how old he was when he had these girls. And then he got divorced, right? So he's raised and got custody of all of these girls. And he worked, but he already had a home, right? And he was retired. So he, like I said, he was home, right? And so he was dad to my daughter. And I didn't have a problem with her calling him dad because she had no father. And her father didn't want to be involved. There was no contact like that. Your mother was in spitting distance, from what I understand, even though I don't remember even ever meeting her. But I know that people knew her in the community, even, the other mothers and stuff, because they lived there for such a long time before the kids even came. And it was a beautiful small community, which is why I moved out to that town, because it was such a diversity of people and experiences. And I knew that I was going to get what it is that I needed to have for my daughter. And I got a dad figure for her. So that was a blessing for me. And she got other girls to play with. So even though she was an only child, she wasn't alone. She was never alone. Never alone. There were times when they were spending time overnight at my place. They had a big old house. I had like a 1-bedroom apartment, and there was 4 girls in my queen size bed, and I'm laying out on the futon in my studio living room. It was a kitchenette. It was wild, but that's how we were family. We bonded, and they were outside. I was home and I was watching them, and we had Brownie Troop, right? Brownie Troop. that.
Yes, we did.
And they were all
I mean, we kicked out of that too.
got kicked out later on that. Yo, yeah. And I wasn't playing with them. Like I was disciplined, but not crazy. You know, I was. She said this morning. She said Darius could count on one hand how many beatings she ever got growing up. Not that it's right to beat your children. You don't have to understand. I came into a time when I was like, that was a new thing not to beat your children. And I was determined that I was not going to be that kind of mother. And I kept my spanking count down low compared to me and my sisters and brothers. Because my mother should be in jail still for some of the beatings that she gave us.
Yep.
What? They don't know about that. They don't know about it, right? Because y'all know my mother. Y'all know.
Couldn't have happened.
No.
You could have been punched into the wall.
What?
You could have been thrown through the sheetrock.
What? You couldn't have been standing on the other side of a bathroom door, which had glass panes, with your mother put her fist through in a towel and bang through the window in order to open up the bathroom door to come in and give you a beating. Y'all don't know. That was living in Brooklyn.
In the shower with a wet rag.
Nothing. And Darius don't know nothing about that because I was not going to subject her to that. And I was not going to allow anybody to abuse children around. And Aaron's count is less than Darius's. He got one. And he still throws that up in my face. And the only reason he got it is because he put up his middle finger at Darius, and that was disrespectful. So I beat him for giving her the middle finger. He was 3. But it was appropriate because he needed to do that, but still it was wrong, and he shouldn't have been giving fingers though. And she was, appalled. Oh, you spoiled it, whatever. So to keep the peace, I told him that's your sister, and don't you ever give a woman the middle finger, like that. But in my heart, it was like, yeah. That's right. She deserved it, baby, but it was inappropriate, and she was just so flustered by it because everything was just so dramatic. But anyway, moving on. So you didn't see me being a bad mom, abandoning, being a floozy, being.
What was that for your daughter? Like I'm getting angry just hearing you say that. Like I'm getting really angry.
Yeah, because that's the picture that she would like to paint to my family, and they'll entertain it. And I've been fighting this fight for years.
That's absurd, and it's a lie. It's absurd. Now, Darius was a single kid at the time, so maybe her idea is warped, but warped is the only thing I can call it because you was always there for Darius. And it's sort of like how dare she, to me, because she has someone there to give her a hug. She has someone there to tell her how to put on a maxi pad.
Yeah.
All right, I said it. She has someone there to say, this is what boys is like, or don't trust that, or don't. She has someone there, and you was always there for us, Miss Bell. Whenever we wanted to talk, you sat down, you made the time for us, even if it was an old boy situation. You did it.
Yes. Yeah, there were a few old boys.
It wasn't easy. It was 4 Morgan girls, and we were not regular bad. We was bad as hell.
It was like raising a gang. But they
Darius never had to. I was gonna say, Darius never had to fight in a fight by herself.
No, never.
Because if you picked on one of us, you picked on all of us.
And poor little innocent me don't know all of this violence in the streets is going.
Oh no, you have no clue. I can't even tell you the stories. Like that's against the sister code.
She said that they would straighten up when I came around. And their baby sister didn't understand it because they was like wilding out all the time. And how come when this lady comes around, we gotta act nice? And I was always wondering, why is this kid giving me such, negativity? And because this sister even has the same name as me, but she just was like, ugh! And she just explained to me this morning. She said because we were wild out whenever anybody, they didn't care whether it was an adult or anything like that, but there were only certain ones. And for some reason, I was in the group with, relatives, and the sister was like, "Who the fuck is this lady?" But she was little, so she couldn't say anything. So all she was doing was holding herself so that she could wait until they get away from me so they could start acting out again. I had no clue because they were just such angels around me all the time. I mean, they had their
But I'm trying to
things.
tell you, you really had no female leadership. You and my Aunt Julia and my Aunt Helen. Like those are the main. And my Aunt Helen wasn't really there. My Aunt Julia, she's the only one who could put her hands on me. The only person. Anybody else, I would jump them by the slam. Like I'm gonna beat up my dad's girlfriends just because I wanted to. Like we would jump them just because. We were bad.
And I was
It
in
was
none of
horrible.
and I know none of this because I'm at work.
No, but I have to go back to we were abused as children, and beat a lot. So once I hit the age 11, it was if you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. But not only I'm gonna hit you back, my sister's gonna hit you back. Now we may be little, but there's four of us. So
Yeah.
rest assured, and we can fight. Not regular fight. Rest assured, you're gonna have a couple speed knots. And if we couldn't be, we get bricks and sticks. We were naughty little girls, and Darius was positive on us because she knew how to when we were hyped up, she knew how to calm it down because she knew she had a mom to go home to.
And that's the other thing. My daughter knew where to pick her to act up. Like they would not know what I was going through as deeply because she would curb it a while. And mothers would call me. This one lady called me up and she's telling me that her daughter was getting into some problem, and she thought that Darius should be able to talk her daughter out of it because Darius is so mature. And I'm like, do you realize that Darius is like 2 years younger than your daughter? And she was like, I never knew that because she always is so
No,
mature.
Darius was mature. Darius was mature.
And
Now,
she was like, Darius is the only one in that group that has some common sense. I said, but she's younger than all of them. And the lady was like, you couldn't tell me that. I wouldn't believe it. Yeah.
No, because Darius was raised with showing people respect, and Darius was raised different. We were raised crazy. We was raised different. For the sake of my sisters, I can't say all of what we went through, but we was raised hecka different. Yeah. And Darius, here she come with her little, Lord, I don't even know how to explain her back in the day. We loved her.
Bougie.
Bougie self. Hair done, nails done, clothes pressed. Like iron. What the hell you gonna iron something for? If you wear it, the wrinkles come out. That was awful. I still want iron to this day, and I'm 42.
But Darius is coming out pressed, okay? Pressed and pleated.
No, it's Darius, was a blessing to us, and she was raised as a sister. And I thank God that He allowed you to be one of the very few role models that I have to help raise us. Well, Lord knows we needed it. We needed something. And you were tall enough to let us know that at any given point you can knock us down. Well. And we knew you could knock us down because you were a correctional officer at the time. So we knew not to play with you. Right. But not even that, we just had that respect for you. Because you were the only one. You didn't play with us, and you showed us that loving side. Right. Because as a parent, you can do both. You can be your children's friend and still have them respect you. You can still honor your relationship as a parent and still honor yourself. And I don't care what anybody has to say. I just hope they never say it around me in my life because I probably would snap, and I haven't snapped in 3 decades. Let's not snap. No, I'm just saying. I hope no one ever says in front of me anything bad about you because you were there for her, and you loved her, and you do love her. But I can't remember you ever not being there for your daughter. Oh hell no. No. Oh no. No, anything. But to the woman's house, we could go. No, we could go to your house, and the one dish that I still want to know how to make is how to do that butter palm. Palm butter. I sent you the recipe, and I was going. It didn't look the same. It didn't look the same. No. Really? I'm surprised. I made this thing the other day. Okay, they must want me to bring this up. Called fufu.
which in Liberia, that's what you would eat the palm butter with. It's like it looks like a potato, but actually it's cornstarch. But they make it into like this. It's plant. It looks like cornstarch, but it's really plantain flour, right? And it's a big blob, and it's all white. And you put it in the middle of the bowl, and then you pour the palm butter over it. Oh man, I had that at my girlfriend's because I tell you my best buddy, she's from Liberia. She's the one who's taught me to make these dishes. Well, one day when you come to New York, we'll just go down to the docks and get some of those people. Or maybe if I come to DC area, I can do it out there too, and then you can come because you're not far. You're in Maryland, right?
Yeah, I live in Virginia.
Oh, okay. So then I'm in Virginia. I would be in Virginia in Fairfax area. So maybe we can get together and I can make the palm butter. But I made fufu the other day with collard greens. I said, hey, let me see how it goes. First time I made it. It comes in the store. I bought it, put it simple. I made it all nice. I poured it on it. As soon as I poured the collard greens and I was like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm getting ready to go eat this shit. My ancestors said, bitch, she made real African food and she thinks she ain't giving us none. I dropped the plate. And it's one of those Corningware plates, you know, them things are hard to break. That shit, bro, fell right straight down at my feet and broke in half, like, huh. And I took that fufu and collard greens and I put it in front of my ancestors and I said, thank you very much. Because it was like, oh no. Because imagine that must be something that they had eaten when they were, you know, the ancestors back. And I don't know all of these ancestors back to the tribes and, you know, back in the hills and the valleys of Benin. And it was like, wait, she's cooking something we know. Because they get excited sometimes. And I put the food out for them.
Just something on that. That could be some of the lights I see, like when I'm trying to record myself on the camera, or I'm just looking at my camera at myself and I look around the room. It's like light and like
yes.
Lines that look like this going up and down my face.
Yes, sometimes.
And I'm like, what is that? And if I move, it'll move.
Yeah,
like, I'll move out of its way and then it'll come to me.
That might be, well, sometimes those are these called orbs. And some people, you have, you know, you probably your daughter or other spirit guides.
Did you get the picture I sent you on Messenger? And I was just like, what does this mean?
That was a few months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I knew what it meant. And I think I looked at it and I was like, But I did answer you, I think. And I'm thinking that your daughter is around you and she wants you to know that. Like when you see little sparks and stuff in pictures or in around the ceiling and things like that, and you can't, you know, trace it back to
where that light's coming from.
It happens when you have a lot of spiritual activity around you. You have glitches with your electronic equipment. You get like,
and I get a lot of glitches.
And it'll turn. It'll turn off and go right. It'll go right off and then go right back to where you left. Like you wouldn't have missed anything. It's just a glitch.
No, I've blown 4 flat screen TVs. I have 2 broken ones right here. Like I take them to the television place, but of course they're closed because of Corona. Like I blow out TVs.
Okay, so maybe you need to start making some ancestral, putting up some water. So you need to make an ancestral altar. Maybe that'll calm them down because they're trying to get your attention. And I think we spoke about that before, but definitely. Okay, so I want you to. Okay, so you're gonna get a white candle, you know, 7-day pull out, whatever candle, and you're gonna get 9 glasses. One glass is gonna be bigger than the others, right? The other ones you can have things as small as a shot glass, right? And the big glass could be a juice glass. It doesn't have to be humongous. It's however way you want to make it, and over time you can change the glasses, whatever. But a total of 9 glasses, 8 regular size, 1 big, right? And then you get a white candle, water. You're gonna draw a circle. You're gonna get like a doily, a lace cloth, a white, something white. Could be a pillowcase, whatever. Put an area that you know that it's safe for you to burn a candle. Put pictures of your ancestors if you have them, your daughter, your dad, whomever, grandparents, whoever you know. If you don't know people, You can write down names of people, get a list, make 2 lists. You take the first list, you write all your ancestors that you know, even if you only know their first names or if you only know nicknames, whatever. Just write down as much as you know, and you put it in a white envelope, and you're going to put that on your altar. Then you're going to keep the other paper just in case people pass away. You can add it to it so you can always update it, and you always have a copy of the names, right? So you can update your list. You don't want to lose it. Keep it in your Bible or somewhere like that. Then you're going to get some chalk. If there's a spiritual store around you, they have a thing called cascaria or efun. It's a chalk. It comes in like it looks like an ices thing, tiny with white chalk. But if not, just get white chalk from the store. Draw a circle, and inside of the circle, you make 9 lines. And on each of those lines, you're going to place one of those small glasses. So you're going to make 8 lines around the perimeter and 1 line in the center. So 8 around the perimeter, 1 line in the center. You take the envelope with the names, and you take the white cloth, and you put that on top of the circle. And then you place each of the glasses approximately where the lines are underneath the cloth. Shouldn't be too hard to keep up with it. And then you're going to put the white candle in the middle, and you're going to do your prayers. I'll send you a video, and I'll send you a copy of a prayer. I don't know if you've ever read anything by Iyanla Vanzant, but she has a book called The Makings of a Man, a book of transformation for men, for black men and the women who love them. The Makings of a Man, I think that's the name of the book, by Iyanla Vanzant. I'll send you the link to that also. And even though it's written for men, it is also written for women so you can understand the males around you. But there's a lot of information about ancestral, just honoring our ancestors, right? And explaining to you how to do the prayer and all of that. But it's very simple. And see what happens. See what happens to the energy, along with saging. But when you sage, you open the windows and the doors, because you want the air to move it out. You want to circulate that energy. Let it go.
I can't open up my windows. Oh, well, we'll talk about that.
But can you open up a door?
I can open up my front door. I can't open up my back door.
That's okay. Front door's fine. Just long as
So
you.
the front door is really the only one that I can open in my house.
Really? We'll talk about that offline. All right. So.
We'll talk about that.
But anyway, I want to thank you for that little bit of a testimony, and again, I appreciate the opportunity that the universe gave me to get 5 kids, without having to birth 5 kids. And I just remember that this morning, I was talking to you, that I've always wanted 5 kids, and I did get 5 kids.
And I always wanted 5 kids, but I only had 1. Well, I had 2, one passed away. That's just like you did.
Yes. So, I'm so much better now, and I'm here helping you. These are messages from your daughter, because that's what I was thinking about. Brittany, right? And I told you she's helping you. She's around you. She knows what's happening. She's an energy. I was going to tell you, when I was first pregnant with my daughter, I had a miscarriage during the pregnancy. I'm not sure exactly, but I think that's what it was. That's another long story. But I've always had a feeling that that child was around. And Darius used to have a friend, invisible friend. I mean, to the point where Aaron knew the name. Aaron gave it a name. That's how, and that, she always had this invisible friend. And I think it was the energy of the other twin. Okay, Pablo, it's fine.
Want to hear something creepy?
Mm-hmm.
Kaden talks to Brittany. Of course, Kaden knew Brittany. But when Brittany died, within that month, my sister got pregnant with her daughter Nieva. Well, Nieva, Brittany Morgan. And Nieva, who's never got the chance to meet Brittany, always sees Brittany. And she talks to her. So my sisters would walk in the room, and they'd be like, who you talking to? And my niece would say,
Yes, he can come on up. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right, that's my son.
So my sisters would walk into the room. They be like, Nene, who you talking to? She'd be like, oh, I'm talking to Brittany. She's right there. And my niece has been doing this that I know since she's about 3 years old, like actively playing and talking with my daughter.
Right, because as you're younger, the younger people, children, have a closer relationship with the angels because they're open to it, and they can see them and they can talk to them, and they will do that. And you know when they say little babies when they're babbling when they're first born in the crib, and they're smiling in their sleep, it's because they're talking to the angels because they just came from that realm. We all come through that realm, and as we grow up, that's when we get told to shut down our spiritual gifts, and that, oh, you know what's wrong with you? You talk who, you know who you talking to, whatever. People poo poo our gifts, and so therefore we shut them down, right? Or we become frightened of them because we don't know what they are. But if a child is allowed to be proud of their gifts and continue with it, you know, the world would be a better place. My grandson had a gift. He could predict every year since the time he could talk or grunt who was going to be who was going to win the Super Bowl every year, except the year that the Patriots cheated. The Patriots cheated and won, and my grandson, it broke his heart so much. He never wanted to predict another Super Bowl game after that because he said they cheated. They're not supposed to. Because he knew it. It was like he always knew who was going to win every football game. And by the time we got to the Super Bowl, we were like, wait a minute, this kid has a gift for this. And he did. And it's something that is in his DNA. My mother's brother used to be able to look at the racing, not the rate, the stock results and the racing results and predict what the number would be. Like in the streets, like the back in the day when they had the illegal numbers in the streets. I remember my Uncle Roy being able to figure out what the number was going to be that day just by looking at the newspaper. You know, they have the get. Okay, so these are the messages that's coming. Hmm. I always give you a good night kiss. I was met by so many loving people, and you have nothing to feel guilty about. Okay, so you know what that means for you. Okay. I feel so full. I can't. It's like full, excited, kind of. Hmm. To say something, wanting to talk, wanting to say something. Okay. I don't know. Okay. All right. So on the other side, like I said, your father said to tell you to calm down. Like, why? What are you fretting about? That was earlier. Of course, he's there with her. Of course, he's taking care of her. He took care of you. Why wouldn't he be there taking care of her? They're taking care of each other, waiting for the rest of you guys to catch up. Be there when you get there and when your sisters get there too. Just like his parents were there for him. What you worrying about? Worry about the kid that you got to worry about in front of you. He'll take care of that one. You take care of this one, he's saying. John. Hmm. I am there. Mommy. says it mommy, but it's a different way of saying it. I don't like marmy or moma. I was getting that this morning too. Like a different way of saying mommy. Marmy. Mm. What do you need to say? Alrighty. All right. I don't know. They get me and do these things and I don't even. It'll come. Hmm. What's today? August 3rd? Okay, it's August 3rd. Hey, come on, babe. I'm good. I'm recording right now. Oh, nice mask. All right, be careful. All right. Um, each of us is stamped with vibratory signature of our own state of consciousness. Pramhasa Yoganada. And this is from Acts of Faith by Iyanla Vanzant. So today's quote. What is going on? Hello? No, she's not at this number. You need help getting out? Give me a second.
You broke at 12:30. That's said 12:30.
Sorry, babe. Okay. Always hang out adopted children. So now I have adopted son. And that's all right. Um okay. Let's see. Finish this. Okay. August 3rd. Let's see what this message is that they want you to have. Oh, I just got a pop in my ear too. My right ear. We become very offended if someone says we don't measure up or if they criticize our actions. We think they are picking on us because of our race or gender or just because they got a problem. We must consider what they are actually saying before we dismiss what could be valuable criticism. Consider the things we think about ourselves. I didn't do it right. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. So and so did it better than me. I need someone to tell me how good I am. I hope I don't mess this up. Like I did before. If I do it like this, they'll say they'll like me. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good at this. I can do better than this. Life is an accurate reflection of our consciousness. People will usually say to us the very thing that we think about ourselves. If you want others to speak well of us, we must first think well of ourselves. The next time someone criticizes you, think, where have I heard that before? I think positively about me and speak positively about me. So, I don't know if that resonates with your situation. It may. You know, we talked earlier about not taking things to heart that people say about us, but at the same time, take inventory of it. If a lot of people are saying the same things, perhaps there's some way that you are behaving. There might be some truth to it. So we need to take a look at it and not dismiss it. Considering the source, because sometimes the source, like our daughters, say stuff to us is like hurtful, but if we think about it by ourselves without judging and without have to worry about anybody hearing our own private thoughts, might be some validity to some of it. Okay, so we have to be able to check ourselves, and also, as in with any relationship, as with our daughters, it's not only there to teach them things, it's to teach us something too. So what is it about the way you speak to your daughter that makes your daughter think it's okay to speak to you the way that she does? So maybe if you temper. Did I hurt your feelings? Ouch. Oh, you said ouch. Oh, I stepped on a toe. Oh, sorry. So if we temper the way we speak to our daughters, just like we would with other people, right? Because we, just like your daughter is testing her boundaries with you, you're testing your boundaries with her too, because you ain't got nobody else to test either, right? Because you're a human being, you're growing, you're changing every day, right? So some of your frustrations, you may take it out in the tone. You may ask her, and when I said that it was 51:15, so that was, yeah, okay. It maybe take it out on her in your tone. Maybe you don't allow her to talk to you gently, so that's maybe why she feels she has to talk to you rough, because maybe you are displaying your masculine side more than you are your feminine side to her.
Raised by a man,
because you were raised by a dad, right? So you have that dad energy, and that's not what she. And that's another reason why you're going at it, because she needs a balance, and there's nobody else to balance it out. And you're trying to balance it out, but you have to balance it out in yourself before you can balance it out with her. And so your job this time might be to learn how to balance yourself so that you can be a good example, like I was a good example, right? So, and thank you again. So maybe spirit might be saying it might be time for you to add some more energy to your place, like a boyfriend, a husband, a male companion, something like that. So that okay, but so maybe she don't like them. She dating, but she don't like them. Yeah, well, yeah, but it could be practice on you, feminine up a bit, perhaps, as you go through these relationships with others, because the thing that makes us strong can also make turn people off from us. Being an independent woman is good, but you don't have to be an independent woman with a man that when a man feels like they love you, they like you, they want to feel that they can give you something, and if they get the feeling that they can't add anything to you, then they don't feel like you need them. And unless you express to them that you need them, not only in a material way, but in another way that they can understand, then hopefully someday one of them will get it. But you have to be true about it, and you have to act like that's what you want. See, bottom of the deck, shifter, transform and unveil your gifts.
I don't think that's the first time I've ever gotten that card in my life.
Oh yeah, you've had readings other places?
Years and years and years ago.
And that card came up? So that means
I think that card came up when you did me when I was pregnant with when I had Ashley.
No, I just bought this deck a few years ago.
No, but you did a reading for me.
I do.
And I remember that
I did remember doing a reading for you when you were younger, several times.
Yeah.
Maybe. And
you only did one reading for me, and it was with Ashley, and you was like spot on with everything. You was just like the guy who you about to marry. He's in the military or he's on the water. He was in the Navy. You told me he was selfish, the most selfish thing I ever met in my life. Never met nothing like him.
Really?
Everything was spot on.
Really?
But that's why I wanted to write down this one, because those are the two main things I remember.
Okay. Well, there's you have your own gifts, and that's why you're seeing all of that activity around you. And it also talks about transforming. And I was just talking about you maybe using more of your feminine energy when you're dealing with your daughter, and when you're dealing with these guys that you're dating that you don't like. Maybe you need to be, but we know why, because you're protecting yourself. But you can protect yourself right into being lonely, because one of these days your daughter's going to get married and move away. Hopefully, that's the goal, right? That's the goal. That's the goal. So while we're working on that goal, we need to be working on goals of our own for ourselves, right? And so just take a look at it, of what she's saying. And that's going to unlock the magic within you. All right? Trust your talents in changing times. So you have the tools, you already know what to do. All right? And you just have to learn how to go with the flow. Learn how to go with the flow. As things change and evolve, so should you. Right? When you know better, you do better.
All right.
Track down your fears and your desires. Okay, so this could be someone around you who's an Aries or a Sagittarius.
He's an Scorpio.
Okay, so he's Scorpio. Scorpio and Taurus are actually the other side of one another's on the zodiac. So you should have a very interesting complementary type of energy going on between the two of you.
He's annoying.
He's what, annoying? Yeah, well. Retreat and recharge. So maybe you do need to take a step back, do some meditation, do something for yourself. Give yourself a pamper day, a ladies' day, I don't know if you can go to the spa and stuff like that yet, but at least you can go to your tub and, soak or take a nice shower. Burn some nice scented candles and stuff around the house. Start to fem up your, environment a little more. Father Sky, trust in the unknown. So this is your spirit guides. This is God. This is the ancestors. You're being protected and guided. Trust that you're going to be guided correctly so that you can grow in your current situation. This talks about getting wisdom from older women and consulting, with, you know, card readers, things like that. Spiritual growth and
well,
wisdom.
You're the only card reader, but I do associate with a lot of senior women.
Yes.
Always senior.
Right, because that's where you learn the stuff at, right? So you got the wise one and Father Sky together. They fell out together. So there is yeah, you have nothing to feel guilty about. Your ancestors are there protecting your children in the 3D, which is here, or those who have transitioned. All right, and they want you to get in touch with the spiritual side of yourself, your gifts. That's why you met me. That's why I was there with you. That experience. And I didn't realize until like today that I got what I was asking for as a young girl, 5 kids. But the other day I remember saying that I wanted to I know what it's like to raise children by myself. And I know what it's like to raise a child with no father around. I know what it's like to raise a child with an absentee father who comes, you know, but supportive, but not a partner. And I think what I've always wanted, what I haven't experienced, is raising a child with a partner, living under one roof, like a family. That that type of aspect. I've never done that. And I guess I thought I was going to get that, and I got caught up in the idea. But I guess God wanted to remind me that I've had a partnership, even though we didn't live in the same house. Mr. Morgan helped me raise you girls, and I helped him, and I did that.
And you did.
I did that. So.
You did that.
and
you don't know what it. You don't know. Like, I don't think you could ever really grasp or get the scope of us having nobody. You talking about 4 little girls who went through hell, had to fight for everything to the point where we fought everyone and everything. Anything that resembled love, we fought it. Because love hurt. Adults, we fought them. Adults hurt. But kids our age, we still are best friends with because they didn't hurt. We were raised different. And, I had a good father, but we was raised different. And you were one of the only positive people that we could look up to. Well, I want to keep saying that because like, it's a way of saying it, but I can't say it. Like, you don't know what it's like to have nobody. We were bad, so nobody wanted to hug us. And because we were bad, we were unapproachable. We were very unapproachable because we would cut you out before you could get that hug.
And I never had that problem.
No, you couldn't have that problem. You was too tall.
But I'm saying, I remember hugging you guys and playing with you guys.
Yeah. but to the world, to the rest of the world, we were unapproachable.
Really? Well, thank goodness y'all didn't show me that.
You fell through with that. Like I said, you'll never know we were bad. But we were unapproachable to a lot of the world. We didn't let nobody in. It was hard to get in. Because for you to get in means you would have to know our secrets. And we had a lot of secrets. And you couldn't tell me nothing about myself when I was younger. You couldn't tell me that I dressed like a bimbo. And I remember my dad saying that once, and it hurt my feelings to my death. Like, oh my, it hurt my heart. But I did dress like that.
Who said that to you?
You couldn't tell me to watch my mouth. Because if my own father couldn't tell me to watch my mouth, like, who you? But we watched our mouth around you.
Right. Because I'm looking at you like, what?
We was like,
well, who were these punk ass adults? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what? Who was,
If they tried to hit me or reprimand me, they would not go against one, they would go against the
Right. Nobody likes to get ganged up on when they're just babysitting or, trying to look out. Mm-hmm.
I remember when I was 16, my Aunt Valerie, my sister was running around the hotel. She stepped on my Aunt Valerie's foot. My Aunt Valerie slapped my sister, and my sister came in the room crying, and me being her mom, which I'm not her mom, I'm her sister, I said, what's going on? She reluctantly told me that Aunt Valerie slapped her and told my sister that my father should have raised us right and my father should have did better. And I remember going up to my Aunt Valerie at 16 and slapping the piss out of her. I slapped her so hard she spit in front of the whole family reunion. How dare she say something about my dad?
But
yeah, we were wild out.
But wasn't that her brother?
Yep.
So, sisters can say things about their brothers. He was her brother before. It does matter. I'm just saying.
No, it didn't matter then.
At that moment.
It didn't matter.
It doesn't, right, because you were angry. But I'm just saying, just think about it, because we're going to try to,
digress. Take it away.
Look at things from a higher perspective, right?
Yep.
There's a joke, maybe this will help, that Bill Cosby said that, who our grandparents are? Our grandparents are our parents trying to get into heaven. Because when you get to be a grandparent, you change. Your whole perspective changes, right? The way you treat your kids. Like your kids will look at you talking to their children like, that's not
You didn't talk to me
No,
like
they
that.
talk right. So that's it. Just because you're starting to get older, you can look at things from a different perspective. So, yes, he's your father. But before he was your father, he had a life, right? This is we were talking about it a
Yes.
little while ago. He had an entire life. You know what I'm saying? Before he
Yes.
became your father, he had an entire life that his sisters were there for, that his sisters witnessed, that his sisters know how they were raised, that his sisters know what they were used to growing up. And to see, perhaps they were judging, but it doesn't matter. I'm just saying, generally, to see their children, because you're still their children, you're their parents' children, acting in a way that would bring disrespect that they knew that they could not have gotten away with. Not at all, right? Okay, you agree. Then they have a right to to speak up and correct that because you are their legacy. You are their children. They are the at if they feel that your father didn't do a good job in checking y'all, then they would be wrong if they allowed it to go on without putting in their 2 cents too, regardless of how you take it. That's their job because you all are their legacy. Your children are their legacy. Your grandchildren are their legacy. And if they see y'all acting buck wild, it's incumbent upon them as decent carriers of the flame, especially women, to say, "What are you doing? Your father taught you better than that," or "I can't believe your father allowed y'all to act like this," because they know how they were raised. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm saying, man, you gotta respect that. You gotta respect that, man. You have to respect that because they grew up with your dad. They had a life, and you don't know what their day to day. Just like your kids don't know your day to day what you grew up with growing up in Long Island, right? There's some things you don't want them to ever know. And that just like your parents and your aunts and your uncles and the cousins, there's things they'll never want y'all to know that went on. They'll take that to their grave and beyond.
I hope my sisters do.
Yeah, but you never know. You never know. But there's things about you that you hope your sisters never tell their daughters and sons. Just like there's things that they've done that they hope you never tell your daughter. And it's unspoken. Y'all know what the bullshit was. You know the stuff that you didn't have no business doing
Yep.
that you did and got away with, or you think you got away with, but God knows and one of your siblings know because you couldn't hold.
I'm reaping it now.
Right, and you reaping it now. And remember that
My
also.
daughter. Sneaky.
Right, because some things are just part of your DNA. Just like, listen, we all take traits from our parents. Whether we grow up with them or not, you got traits of your mother and you have traits of your father. Unfortunately, there may be traits of your mother that you're not familiar with, like you would be had you grown up with her, but it's still there. You know how I know that for sure? One day, Darius was here when last year, my daughter was here, and she did something, the way she moved and her walk was just exactly like her father. And I know Darius, her mannerisms were just like his, and there's no way that she has any idea of his mannerisms because, she don't know him. But I saw it, and I was like, oh, wow. And my grandchildren, who have never, ever, 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 ever had any meeting with their father, my grandchildren are athletes just like he was. My granddaughter is like one of her top players on her basketball team. I mean, scouts are looking at her, and they just going to high school this year. And my grandson is great with his basketball also, and he wants to be a sports announcer. And their grandfather was a very was always involved in sports, lacrosse and tennis and football and basketball, everything all around. Darius, my daughter, of course, refused to play basketball just because. Okay, just like you were saying, your daughter didn't want to sign the paperwork to get her scholarship. Darius refused to play basketball because she knew if she played, she would do like her father did. Her father got a full scholarship to Catholic high school and then to college. Darius wasn't going to do that because no, because I'm supposed to spend my money. That's what I'm telling you. I know. I know. I know. Anything to give you a challenge. If you say it's blue, they say it's lilac, purple. All right. I know. Yeah, woo, I know. I know, baby. I know. But it's time for you to start working on yourself. And as you start to change your own energy, you'll see that energy start to change with your daughter.
So change myself, change within.
Yes, because you have to lead.
Change the world, start with me.
Right. Change. We lead by example. And your other daughter, Brittany, is there helping you, and she wants you to know that you can trust yourself. You have the talents, you have the tools that you need. If you have questions, you know where to go. You're a smart girl, right? You know, and you need to start talking to her very respectfully. We need to be the partners that we're looking for ourselves. If we want our daughters to be respectful of us, then we need to speak to our daughters with respect, right? Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? That's the golden rule. As much as you would have loved someone to speak to you in a pleasant manner, as much as you enjoyed one or two people in your growing up years who were females who spoke to you in a loving, respectful, decent manner, let's turn on that part of our experience. So we got the father part of our experience down pat. I see. You got that energy. You know how to keep things in order, right? You know how to get things done, provide, keep a roof over their heads, all of that. They need the nurturing. They need the soft side also. And the only way for you to give it is when you dig it up out of yourself, because you have to bury it because you got to get shit done. You can't be sitting around wallowing in this nonsense. So there's relationships that you've been hurt by that you need to deal with those feelings and purge those feelings. You can start with something, small, the easiest one to tackle, but tackle it. And don't group them. Deal with each issue. If you got to get a piece of paper, sit down and write about it. Write your experiences, journal it. When you have dreams, start journaling it. When you have questions, start journaling it. When you feel like you're getting ready to explode, I know that you know how to do that because you haven't killed anybody yet. Right. Breathe.
I told you I don't allow myself to go there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I know.
Even when it comes to my daughter's, my daughter being buried, me and my daughter have like a little pact. So we're allowed to cry for 30 seconds. That's it.
No.
Because anything past 30 seconds, we can't go into that part of depression. We don't have time for it.
Okay.
I got her, she got me. Time to keep moving.
Right. Okay. So then maybe you all, during the time of coronavirus, right, we're a little slowed down these days. Maybe on a weekend, right? Because it talks about retreating and recharging. Even if you have to be home, you can be there to support one another, or you may need to just do it by yourself. and get it out. And know and understand when people pass away, when they die, when they pass away, pass over, transition, go whatever way you want to put it. It's just a transfer of energy. It's a change of energy. They're still around. Energy is forever, right? It just needs a chance to regroup itself. Like you said that your nephew, your niece, was born. You know, sometimes people come back right away, and sometimes they take a long time to come back. It depends on what their contract is. Each one of us contract to serve a certain place in this world. Part of my contract somewhere was to run into Mr. Morgan and his daughters, apparently. That was part of my experience that I needed to have, right? It was part of my experience to be a correction officer, even though I didn't even put in for that job. My mother put that application in for me. I never. What? Never. Never. The only reason I took that job is because I got into an argument with this white guy. Well, not an argument, but I got insulted on a Thursday night at my job um, when I was working at Computer Associates, and the manager in my area came and called me into the office, and I was in there working overtime by myself. It was at night because I could do it. We could work 24 hours a day as long as we had the cards, right? I used to take Darius into work with me sometimes. But this night I stayed, I'm doing work, and we'd been at work all day long. We got along good. And he called me in the office, and there was nobody in there. So, I mean, he could have sat at my desk, but he was trying to assert his bossness this night. And he told me that I didn't know my place. This white guy from Texas. And he sat on the other side of that desk in his suit, glasses, blonde hair, and told me I didn't know my place. And I was like, excuse me? What is my place? He said, you know what it is. I said, apparently I don't, because you just got finished telling me that I didn't know it. I had made a joke earlier that day, and the guy who owns the company, he used to come by too. It was a kind of place where, it wasn't so.
You clicking in and out.
Okay, yeah, you're clicking because you're driving, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I ended up. He wasn't. I guess he felt I made a joke that made him look bad in front of the boss. The boss. We were all cracking up. It wasn't like nothing like that. He waited till he got by himself because his little, you know, misogynistic feelings were hurt. And all I wanted to do was pick up a chair and hit him across his head. But I had a daughter to take care of at home, and it wouldn't have been good for me to go to jail for killing this white boy. So I checked out and I went and had a drink at the bar, and I shared my story with the guys. Because I was sitting there reading the newspaper with a glass, drinking at the end of the bar, saying nothing. And they're like, what's the matter? And
I can imagine that. Like, you don't know your place as a woman, or you don't know your place as a black.
Exactly. He might as well have said NIGGER. Because that's what I felt when he said it.
Well, you don't know your place as a black female.
Right.
You get treated the worst anyway.
Right. And this is back in 1990, right? Well, Thursday, that happened. Sunday, my phone rang in my house at 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and it was the New York City Department of Corrections asking me if I wanted the job, I could report to the next class. I was like, what? No, this is a joke. Nobody don't call nobody and offer a job on a Sunday. She says, yeah, we do. And I knew how my job worked.
They called you for the job. Someone told them, jobs don't come for you. You got to go for them.
But I had taken the test, and I was already on the list, right? But I had been waiting all those years. And He said this nonsense, and Sunday they called, and Monday I told computer associates, thank you very much. I gave them my 2 week notice, and he come running. Oh, I hope it's nothing that I said. I said, I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But by the time I get to human resources, maybe I'll remember what it is that you may have said. So I knew how they worked. So if I gave them notice, then they were going to give me 2 weeks, 2 weeks pay, right? And they would make me leave because they think you're going to steal their secrets. But anyway, so I got 2 weeks pay, and I went to the academy, and I made sure I had my exit interview, and I let them know what he had said to me. And my girlfriend, who was still working there, told me that he later on ended up losing his job and transferring back down to Texas, where his ass came from. Good. Working at a funeral parlor. Good. But that was always a thing for him. His family was from there. They owned funeral parlors. So, but he was trying his luck in the big city, coming up to New York. And when woo, I remember one day he had said something about me and the girls I worked with, and said, "Y'all remind me of Diana Ross and the Supremes."
That's because you're black, right?
That's all. He'd never worked with black women before in that kind of capacity at all. I mean, we talked to him and stuff, and this was really a different experience for him. So we tried to not kill him when he said that thing about Diana Ross and the Supremes. But we certainly did have a talk with him. But it was good because it was three of us, and we were able to, confront him. But
No, I know because when I came to Virginia, I had never really experienced racism, and this lady told me I look like a pickaninny.
Woo!
Because I had braids in my hair, and she was the property manager where I was at. And when I looked up what a pickaninny was, I was pissed.
Wow.
I mean, I was pissed. And then, when I told her that was offensive, she was trying to find any excuse to try to get us put off that property. But my husband was military at the time, so she couldn't get rid of us easily.
Wow.
So, yeah, she called me a pickaninny.
And that's in Virginia. I'm telling you, they'll try to get away with it when they can. But that's how I ended up on that job, just to say. No, I wouldn't have put in for nothing like that. I didn't go to school to be no correctional officer. Yuck. But it was an experience that I needed to have. And I'm grateful for it, right? It got me where I am today, able to provide for myself and my family, and now for myself. So I don't have to depend on anyone. And that's important, right? That you are able to do that. But I'm just saying that you may need to look at the way that your energy is, and you can't change anybody but yourself, right? That's the only person we can change are ourselves. You can't change your daughters, you can't change your sisters, you can't change anything. The only thing you have control over is yourself. So let's see if you can look at some of the things that are being said, take responsibility for it, own what you can own, dismiss what you can dismiss. You leave it in the back somewhere just in case you need to go back and look at it again. And don't, life is long. You got things to do sitting on the porch, you know. And think about your life and think about the way you come off. Like I said, if maybe you've heard it before from your sisters or other people in your life or whatever, you don't have to discuss it with anybody. But if you feel the need, don't feel like you can't apologize to your daughter if you get convicted on something that she said. That's part of being humble, and that's part of being a mom, right? Knowing when to say you're sorry, right? Not, I'm sorry that I made you feel that way, but I'm sorry that my actions made hurt you like that. That was not my intention. And maybe if you feel like you can explain some of why, then you do. If you feel that you can't, then don't, and explain to her why. If I tell you this I wouldn't only be giving out my own information, I'll be giving out someone else's information, and that might not be fair. If I could share it with you, I would, believe me. But this is what it triggered in me. This is why, this is what you triggered in me unintentionally, and this may be why I reacted or talked to you like that. It's nothing that you've done that created it, but you brought it back up for me innocently, not intending to. You know what I'm saying? So try to see if you can look at it as a more loving, nurturing type of way, and keep a record of when you all are cycling through your periods, so you know when to mess with each other. Because moon energy is fierce with women.
No, once she says she got her period, I'll be like, damn. 'Cause that means in a day or two, I know I'm gonna start.
Right.
But we can already tell when we start PMSing, like either her breast hurt or my breast hurt, or we just really start snapping at each other. And I'm like, God, I'm like, Ashton, God is so funny. Like, and then, she'll tell you, I say it all the time, like, she made us funny like that.
Yeah.
And like,
but that's a blessing.
I would get so mad at her because she just kept popping off at the mouth and doing stuff. And then I'm telling you, like, I heard like a voice as clear as me talking. Everything you don't like about her, that's you.
Yes. Yes. Like, yes.
I had to call my sister Monica. She was like, "It's true," and Monica's laughing her ass off. And I'm like,
Monica was always sensible. I always liked Monica. She was always very sensible.
She was the sneaky one.
Well, was she? Well, she was.
Yes, she was. She was the one who nobody believed was doing nothing but was doing the most.
Okay.
I just didn't care. If I did it, I did it. If you asked me, I did it. Yeah,
right. All right. She covered it up.
Monica was like, no, it wasn't me. It was my sister.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the middle child syndrome. Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they do. They look innocent, but underneath it all, they the ringleader, as my dad used to say, the ringleader. As the middle child. They be marinating. They like pull the strings from the back and then watch other people get in trouble, and then sit back and laugh. Janelle, oh yeah, yeah, that definitely. And Janelle get away with it with that look, you know, because she was so pretty.
Was the pretty one.
She was the pretty one. Know. They get away with shit. They wrap their parents around their fingers. They know how to do it. Yep. We all play a different role in our growing up, right? And you gotta.
Was the master manipulator.
And you were the oldest.
And got me. No matter what I did, I was the oldest.
Right. No matter what they did, it was Deborah and them. It was you were responsible for whatever nonsense they got into. And even if you weren't there, it was your fault for not telling them before you got there not to do that shit. Because you were the extra parent when your father was, you were the other parent for your father. That's not your fault, and he didn't want it like that either, but that's what happened, right? A lot of the time, but he knew you were the responsible one. He relied on you a lot, and you were the smart one, right? He thought Monica was smart too. Yeah. Yeah, Monica was smart. Yeah. Monica was smart. He always did say that. But you are doing double work by being a mother and a father, right? And you are going through pain when you have these, when you have remembrances and anniversaries of your daughter. There is no word in the dictionary that describes the loss of a child. And that's because it shouldn't happen.
It's not normal.
It's not normal. There are no words for it, right? We are orphans, we are widows, but there's no word for it when you lose a child because it's not supposed to happen like that, right? So know that everybody, the world, relates to that pain because it's unspeakable, right?
Yeah.
So understand that even without saying a word, everyone's heart goes out to everyone who has had that loss and that experience, because you're not supposed to bury your children are supposed to bury you. But understand also that these are just a transition. We all came here for a purpose and a reason. There was a contract, and your daughter fulfilled her end, and it was time for her to go back to get her pay and her new assignment. And her new assignment may be coming back down. And her other assignment.
Like, I just want to know if she knew.
If she knew what?
I want to know. Sorry. I got to pull my car over.
I'm just saying, are you driving? Don't be driving and crying at the same time.
The whole conversation. I just took my daughter to work 20 minutes away. But I want to make sure my daughter knew that I loved her.
Of course.
I want her to know that I would do, if I could give my life, I would have. And I beg God to take mine, not her.
Right, but that was not part of your contract. Because what if it had been like that? Okay.
Like I have a pain in my throat, in my neck, and in my chest.
Yes. Yes.
Like it's hard to swallow right now. Like
okay.
I want to make sure she knew that I love her.
Yes, she does know that.
And I did my best. Like I didn't do everything right, but I really did do my best.
You have nothing to feel guilty about. That's why that came for you. You have nothing to feel guilty about. What I'm saying, okay. God forbid, God forbid, God forbid, God forbid. I know you don't, but if you do, you need to. But I would like it if you pulled over and cried. That would be very helpful. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. So now I can feel free to say what I'm going to say because I don't want to be the cause of a car accident this afternoon. Listen. You ever seen that movie, It's a Wonderful Life? I know you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have because you grew up around me and we watched that at Christmas time, right? So, George, there was a part in the movie when George is so upset and he said, I wish I'd never been born, right? And the angel comes down to show him what life would have been like had he not been born. And at some point, George saved his brother's life because his brother almost drowned in the ice skating rink. And George pulled him out of that. Now, when he pulled him out, he ended up getting an infection in his ear from the coldness of the ice, right? So George always had that ear infection and he couldn't hear out of one ear. But that was because he went down and pulled his brother out, right? So George is like, wished he hadn't been born. The angel showed him that if he hadn't been there to pull his brother out, years later when his brother went to the military, his brother wouldn't have been able to save the ship that he was on by killing the enemy. So all of the boys that were on that ship would have died if George's brother hadn't lived to be there in that place at that time. All things work for a reason, right? All things are in divine order. Everything happens the way it happens. If roles were reversed and God said, okay, Deborah, I'm going to take your life and I'm going to leave Brittany here, what would Brittany's life be like? What would Brittany and Ashley's life be like without you?
It would have been horrible because their father ain't crap.
Right. So there's some things that we pray for that God doesn't give us because they know that that's not in our best interest and that's not in the best interest of all the people involved. Okay? Your children came through you for a reason, to teach you a lesson, to bring you to an experience. And that experience was necessary for you to be who you are today. Because I'm sure.
I don't know who I am today.
Right.
Yes.
But that's what all of this is to bring you to. Everybody's going through an awakening, all right? Spirituality, see things, hear things. Look, portals are open right now, and this is August, especially right now. And it's a time to bring healing and peace between you and your daughter. You have to give up any feelings of guilt because there was nothing that you could have changed about the situation because it was meant to happen that way, right? It wouldn't have been any better for you if you'd lost your other daughter instead of that one, would it? Would have been the same pain.
And my daughter's pain is that Ashley was 9 when she had her first seizure.
Mm-hmm.
She had her first seizure in the bed with me to the Labyrinth, the movie. She's making a funny sound, and I looked over. I was just like, and I was asleep. I was like, I don't remember that sound. And I'm talking to my daughter in the bed because I slept in the bed with my kids. And I said, Ashley, I said, that's a funny sound. It was going, I said, that's a crazy sound. I remember that movie being that sound, and I turned over, and it was my daughter making that sound. She was seizing. And she was 9. And the doctors didn't believe she had a seizure, nor did my husband, because when he came upstairs, she stopped. And when she stopped, she released, and I thought she died. So I was screaming and going crazy. And he was just like, she's fine. But she was lethargic, of course, after the seizure. And then, like many odd behaviors and seizures, odd behaviors and stuff, she just started doing walking backwards, can't talk. You look at her, she could just blink. But we told her, she like, So then I was just like, something's wrong with her. They said I was crazy, took her to the doctor, and he was like, well, I was arguing with this neurologist, the top neurologist in all of Virginia. The top at CHKD at that. And I was like, something's wrong with her. And he was just like, no. I'm like, no, you don't know me. You don't know my kids. We're that close. So, and Andrew didn't see it because, of course, he saw what he wanted to see. And then one day she started acting odd, so I took her to the hospital. He said, she does it again, bring her to the hospital. So she sat up in the middle of the bed with her hand like this, and it was just rustling up, and she was doing stuff like, so I go to the nursing room. I said, okay, so you said my daughter's normal. What the hell is that? My daughter looked so possessed that the nurses started backing out of the room. Like, not walk out, they were backing out of the room like they were scared of her. So I was just like, what's that? I said, if something's not wrong with her, can you tell me what the hell her arm is resting on? Because her arm's been up there for over 5 minutes. What is her arm resting on if that's normal? And that's when they, did the EKG, and they was just like, oh my God, Ms. Barnes, your daughter has epilepsy. So take it back to a year later, Brittany has a seizure at my feet. And I was just like, oh my God, oh my God. It's in the same house, my husband's house. Brittany has the seizure. Of course, by the time Andrew came downstairs, Brittany stopped seizing. And you know what my husband said to me? He said, you were sleeping. You were dreaming. There's no way. You know what the head neurologist said? And I said, get my daughter the person underneath him. So I had the top 2, which was Dr. Tua. I said she had a seizure. Like, I'm not crazy, but my husband kept saying I was crazy. I was seeing stuff. And they did over $25,000 in studies to tell me that they couldn't find nothing wrong with Brittany. And when she had her second seizure, she died. So they have a part of Brittany's brain at the CDC because our family is a phenomenon that, first of all, you either born with seizures or you hit your head. You have a seizure. Both kids had seizures and one died from a seizure, which then it was unknown until that after the one that was in the descendants, he died of a seizure. It was unknown to be, to die of a seizure. Now they want to believe me that my daughter's in the ground. Oh, you want to fucking believe me that I'm sorry I'm not cursing at you. You want to fucking believe me my kid is in the ground. So Ashley's a phenomenon and she still has the seizures. She had a seizure in January where she broke her ankle at her friend's house. And then it's like, and sometimes I always wanted to ask you, like, can you tell me if I'm cursed? My dog has seizures, so my dog died of a seizure.
Are you all still living in the same? But y'all not still living in the same place, right? You moved.
My husband's in the same place, and my dog stayed at my husband's house when we decided to try to make it work, and my dog was having seizures. So both kids seizures out of the blue. Dog seizure, cat going crazy in the house because you could tell he's seeing something. I see stuff. The guy who I'm dating, Randy, he comes in the house and he's like, whoa, there's a lot of spirits in his house. like, they're not all good. He's like, oh my goodness. I said, people walk in my house and walk out.
Okay. Well, first of all,
Now, I can tell you this much. When I was a teenager, I dealt with the cards, like reading cards. And I was so spot on that Nakia, which was Chanel, I know you know Chanel Patterson. Nakia, I used to creep her out. And then, like, one day, I had told my sister, I had read the cards. I was just like, there's going to be something bad and dramatic tonight. Stay in the house. My sister Janelle decided she was going to go on out. She went to her boyfriend's house, found another girl there, and it was knives and people getting cut, and it was all types of crap. But I was good at it. But it also scared me, so I stopped.
okay, I got you. So maybe that's what they want you to do. Maybe that's what they're trying to bring your attention back to. That you have a gift, and you have a gift, and you need to start working with it. This is it. Unlock the magic within. Okay? You need to get to the bottom of your fears, your hurts, things that you want, your disappointments. All right? But trust these talents, the gifts that you have is what's going to get you through these changing times. You need to sage out your house. Have a way you got to do it. Okay? When you mop your floor, put ammonia in the water. If you can find Florida water in the CVS or the Walgreens or something, put that in the bucket too. Sweep your house from the back out the front door and mop it and throw everything away from your house. Like, don't just pour it in the grass in front of your house. Take it down the block or somewhere to throw away the water and the dust. Take it away from your house, right? And start cleaning out these negative entities because it may not have anything to do with you. People lived there before you did, right? So there's energies that build up in places, and when you're an empath like you are, they come towards you because
What is it?
an empath means that you can feel other people's pain and sorrow and feelings sometimes when you don't really know them. You can pick up on people's things, you know. Sometimes you mix up your own feelings with someone else's. Like there may be times when you're sad that it's really not you. It could be your husband or your daughter, but because you don't see them, you think it's you. But when you're an empath, you pick up on other people's energies sometimes. And it makes you cry out of nowhere. You're like, I was having a good damn day. Why am I crying right now? Oh, it's because your husband's somewhere crying, or your daughter's somewhere crying, or your sister's somewhere crying. That's part of being an empath. When you have a lot of deja vus, a lot of synchronicities, a lot of numbers repeating themselves, and that's God trying to get your attention. Okay, so this is the time. If you want things to change in the home with you and your daughter, start working on that energy, right? Start respecting the ancestors, acknowledge them, and they will help protect you, and they will help guide you. You acknowledge them by telling them thank you, by knowing that they have protected you up till now. What happened?
No, there was a fire truck like literally 2 inches from our car about to hit it.
That's the alarm. Okay. Yeah. That was an omen for what I was saying at that time. They want you to be grateful for what you have, no matter how small it is. They want you to be grateful for your experiences. And all you do is when you're saying your prayers, whatever prayer you know, and like I said, I'm going to send it to you so you can read it and see how you can adjust it for yourself. But even if you just say, Our Father who art in heaven, or you say, The Lord is my shepherd, or you say, Jesus wept, whatever you know, and however you would pray and say thanks to your Father and call out his name, thanks to your grandparents, whatever their names are, thank them for being an energy in your life, thank them for allowing themselves to survive in order for you to get brought through. Because if something had happened to them, they wouldn't have been able to bring you. Right? So they survived. They survived the Middle Passage. They survived the slaughter of the Indians, right? The Native Americans. They survived. Your ancestors survived through those things to get you to come through the universe at this time for a reason. So you got to be grateful for them. For the people you don't know their names, you don't know the wars and the battles that they went through. They survived enough just so that the next generation could come, and the next generation could come, and the next generation could come that brought you through both your parents' side. So give gratitude to them, no matter what. You may have had a grandparent or great 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 grandparent that was a slave owner. We don't know. Possible.
I know I come from a lot of hoes. I'm not being rude.
Even the hoes.
I'm not being rude. My
Even
grandmother or my mother.
Okay, but
like, my great grandmother on my mother's side pimped out my mother. My grandmother, her name was Rose. She let it happen. They told me stories about how my grandmother killed one of the guys who raped my mom when she was 9, which why I think my mom has a mental disease now. Because when we talk to her, she just starts talking like this, like little baby. And I'm like, Mom, like that's my sister's like it's creepy. I'm like, when she starts talking like that, that's the age she was raped at.
Yes.
That's the age the innocence was stolen.
Yes, exactly. And that's why.
I'm not rude when I say it.
That's why she couldn't do what she should have done when she should have done it, because you know what I'm saying? Like,
she couldn't protect us because she didn't know no better.
Did you ever read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou?
Vaguely.
Right. There's a part in there where she got raped. And she told her uncle, and her uncle killed a man. And she stopped speaking. Right. Because she thought that her words, even though he had hurt her words had caused someone to die by her being honest about something that hurt her. So let's say, not forgiving your mother for anything, but let's look at it from a higher perspective, right? If her words caused someone to lose their life, maybe that's why she didn't stop what was going on. Just a thought. Just a consideration. So try to look at it from a higher perspective.
And that's one of the things I always said when I had my kids. Like, you got to know your family blessings. Like, Darius' family blessings was that coming from an athletic family. You got to know your family curses. One of my family curses is females didn't raise their own kids. So I broke that family curse.
Look at that.
All of us did.
Yes.
All.
Thank God. Thank God. Look at that progress. Look at that. And I thank God.
My daughter, she's still a virgin and she's 18.
Come on. What's so?
That family curse of the curse of the kids being raped or being molested at an early age.
You have nothing to be guilty about. You doing your job. Maybe you couldn't have kept such a good eye on 2 children at the same time, who both were going to be going through epilepsy and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's give the universe credit for having good sense, for having a higher knowledge than we do. God knows better. Right?
And Ashley, she was always the scary one where she would just say stuff out of the blue. Like, me and my husband get into it, and he would always do stuff to me. Like, out of nowhere, I wouldn't have even done nothing wrong, like nothing. This was a very abusive man. He would shut off my cell phone, or take the insurance off my car. So he was going to buy me a car because I didn't have one for the kids. And in the middle of signing papers, I had stopped because I didn't want the car no more because I knew he was going to take it away. So I had called my pastor with that fear, and she was like, Deborah, get the car. I was like, no, he's just going to take it away. She was like, Deborah, get the car. So I stopped, swallowed my pride, and we went in there in time for the car. As she walks up to me about 5 minutes later and goes, and it was so creepy, and she goes and she said, God took the devil's hands away just enough to get your blessing. She was like 6 years old when she said that.
What? God took the devil's hand away just in time to give you
just enough for you to get your blessing.
Just enough for you to get your blessing. Ain't
How
that
does a
something?
6-year-old say stuff like that?
Because
or like when I went back to my husband, we was living in his mansion. Mind you, I live in the ghetto of ghettos. You know, his mansion was a beautiful jail, and he was treating us, all of us, like crap. So as she walked in the bathroom one day, she doesn't remember it. She walked in the bathroom and she said, "If you gotta leave, leave. If you're unhappy, leave." In 3 months, I told my husband, if nothing changes, we're going. And on that day of the 3 months, we packed up our stuff and we left. Brittany was the saved one. Brittany would conjure all the kids in the neighborhood and be like, "You're going to church with me." They'd be like, "You need to ask me." She'd be like, "You're going." And we'd be at their house to pick them up that Sunday morning. When Brittany was 3 years old, we had a youth crusade, and she led. You know, they was calling for the youth to come up, whoever wanted to get saved. Brittany was in the back of the church with her little 3-year-old self and put her hands up in the air, and she was like, "Lord, save me. Help the Lord. Save me." Do you know 400 kids followed my daughter up to that altar?
Okay, so she was there doing her job. She did her job. You said she passed when she was 7.
Yep.
7 is God's signature. 7 is the number of perfection, right? That's the day God rested, the 7th day, because he looked and he said, "Oh, this is all good." So someone
She died 21 days after her birthday.
She did her job. She came here for that. She came here for what she did. That's a blessing. You got to witness that. You got to witness that experience.
But it just hurts so much.
Sure, because you miss her, but that's because we're human. And that's part of our experience too. But how many mothers have you helped after that who had lost their children? You've helped a lot. You've helped a lot. You've used your experience to help other women. That's what we're here for. So Brittany's still doing her job. That's what she just said. I'm helping you. I'm around here helping you. She's helping you. She's guiding you. All right? Trust your gifts and your talents right now while you're feeling challenged. She knows lots of love. She always gives you a good night kiss. And she is being taken care of by your family. There were so many loving people to accept her when she got there. You know that, right? And that's what your father said. He got this. He's used to raising girls. He's got this. You do your job on your side, and he's got his job on that side. Until you get there. Until each of you get there. I would check in her father's family history too. They may have something going on. Because he sounds pretty narcissistic here. He might have something that he might not want to share with you because he's embarrassed of it. That might be the key to them having that. Those epileptic seizures, because you don't get it.
No, it's not in either family. It's not in either side. It's not my family. That's why I was just like, am I cursed? Like, is it a demon?
Could be something in the paint. It could be something in the paint. That's the first thing I was going to say. Because is he in a military establishment?
Nope, we lived in the house. Always been in our own house.
What kind of paint? So what kind of paint did they ever use in the house? Can you find out?
I can test it. Look, they tested the paint at his house. I haven't had the paint tested at my house, but it's at his house that both kids had seizures.
Yes, I'm saying, yeah. I think it's something.
I think there's something going on with his house.
Is there something where it was built, like underneath? Like, did you ever like look at his address and see what the history was of that house and stuff? That might be some,
like,
detective work.
When we bought the house, it was a man who used to live there before. And this man was sitting on the front step of the house, which is so creepy. And the man seemed really creepy. And I wanted to ask him, like, did anything, like, bad happen in his house? Because he was giving me that vibe. This is before, you know, all that crap had happened. Where I don't know if I have brought this curse upon myself by doing cards, or you just told me don't feel guilty about it. Or, like, why both kids? They can't explain my kid's death. Like I said, they still have part of, I don't know if I said it, but they still have part of her brain at the CDC.
Yeah, you did say that. You did say that.
Because they cannot explain her death. It took them over 3 months to give us a death certificate.
And what does it say?
They said that it's an unknown death. So what they believed happened was she had a virus 2 days before. They believed, and they told me to give her the Bratz diet, bananas, applesauce, rice. And they believed that because she had the virus could have triggered a seizure, but they're not sure. That the mitochondria inside the brain stopped working, which caused the cells to swell, so her brain swelled.
Okay.
But they can't explain it.
So that's different from having an aneurysm?
Yes.
You know, Darius' father died of an aneurysm.
It's different from having an aneurysm. That's why I said, while her brain is at the CDC, they can't explain it.
Interesting.
It's a phenomenon death. They cannot explain it.
Okay, so then, again, still, by them doing whatever research they do, whatever conclusion they ever come to at any time, that's what might outlive you. You know what I'm saying? That would be a contribution. So she's still giving. She's still helping. All right? So she's still having an effect. It's just a movement of the energy. This is just a borrowed meat suit that we're in right now. As cute as we are. Right? But sooner or later, we're not going to still look these ways. Some of us age better than others. But inside your organs and all of that, they know how old you are. No matter what I look like. My stomach, my heart, my kidneys, they know how old. I know how long they've been running. And when it's time for them to stop running, they're going to say, okay. And the machine, just like the car, shuts down. So, wait for that day and wait for the energy to shift. And your daughter's energy is still around you, and she's trying to let you know that, and she's been trying to let you know that. So there's nothing wrong with you reading the cards or whatever. If you don't feel comfortable with it, then don't do it. But like I said, start journaling your thoughts. That may be your way. Maybe you don't need to read the cards. But if you do and you know you're good at it, then who do you care what they think?
Well, I was good at it when I was a teenager.
And you can be good at it now. It's still a gift. Don't go away unless you don't use it. And if you really want to tap into it, then it'll come back. Try it. It can't hurt you. You could buy a deck of cards if you don't still have it. Get one on Amazon for like less than $10, Miss Cleo. And do readings. And you like that because it's fun. And it's African based. You would enjoy that. And see if you feel like it. But in the meantime, you can get a deck of cards from Amazon overnight. You know that, right? So, let's start with being grateful, accepting of the experiences that you've had so far. Look at what you have grown through. Look at what you have survived through. Your childhood, your marriage, losing a child, dealing with ill children, working in the environment. You know, there's a reason that you had these experiences. And you have used these experiences to help others. You have been a blessing to others. You've been a blessing to me. Like I told you that day when you called me up and started telling me all those things, it was exactly what I needed to hear. And I thank you for that. And I thank you for it again today because I needed to hear that today. I needed to hear that today. I needed to be reminded that I have been a mother and a good mother. And I didn't ask for anything in return. Not a dime, not a nickel, not a quarter. Just sharing of what I knew, what I had, my energy. How much did I have? I was a single girl. But all I had was my love.
Y'all looking like the Cosbys.
I know. How did I pull that off? But I did. But see, I don't know. Let me tell you, before you met us, when I first started living in Long Island, my paycheck was $120 a week take home. And my rent was $300 a month, including utilities up. But ask me how we lived. $120 a week, but my rent was $300 a month. How much did that leave me to raise this 18-month-old baby? There was no child support. There was none. We didn't even have a telephone in my house when I moved out to Long Island. But guess where I ended up living? On Davis and Park. In a house. Just so happened. How? I didn't know.
Your mother made you get that correction job.
Oh, that's.
Which tells me, like, I had to hear that part.
Yeah.
Because your mother never stopped.
She never stops. She just never stops. She never stops. But yeah, she
Which tells me that part, don't stop.
Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. My mother and her brother and sister came here when she was 14 years old, holding her sister and her brother's hand, coming to live with their father and their stepmother in another country. Her sister was 9, her brother was 17, she was 14. She had never been to the United States of America. She certainly had never been to Brooklyn, New York, and she spoke Spanish, and they were black. And my grandfather told them, it's bad enough that you're black, you don't need to be speaking another language. So they had to switch over to English. My mother went to high school in Brooklyn. She went to college. She raised 4 kids all by herself after living through an abusive marriage with an alcoholic husband who was 17 years older than her. My mother was single with 4 kids by the time she was 27 years old. Exactly, oof.
She went through hell. But she went through it.
But she went through it, and she's still going through it. And she dragged us along with her. My mother had a hysterectomy when she was 29.
Wow.
Wow is right. And I lived with that wow. Ooh. Ooh, what? Oh, I was 9 years old. She was out of work for a whole entire year and a half, I think. But she was a nurse. And I used to have to get on the train, go to her job. Because remember, there was no electronic banking and none of that shit. You want your check, you come pick it up, right? And so she was in a union and stuff. They covered her, so she still got a paycheck. I would get on that train, 9, 10 years old, all the way to Manhattan from Brooklyn, pick up her check, bring it home, go to the check cashing place, cash it, go to the supermarket with the groceries because they had already written the list. And when it was the days to do laundry and stuff, I would go to the laundromat. There was no washing machine in our house. We actually had to pay for an extractor. After the wash and laundry, you had to put it through an extractor and then put it in the dryer, or else you end up spending too much money in the dryer. So the extractor would take all the oh my God, this is like 3 steps at the laundromat. I was doing that.
At 9 years old.
9 years old, because I was tall. And I looked just like my mother.
Preparing you to be a mother.
Right.
Helping take care of your sisters.
Exactly.
And brothers.
Exactly.
I get it.
All right. So that's why you came in to be your eldest child in your family to help your dad, and I came in to be that eldest child and help my mother. My sister is a home person, and she's 2 years younger than me. So while I was out doing all the outside stuff, my sister was home doing all the inside stuff. So she learned how to do the cooking and all of that other stuff. She loves it. Her house is like homes and gardens right now. Disgusting. But that's who she is. And she always has my mother nearby because she was in the house. So right now, my mother's still right there with her. That's their vibe. That ain't my vibe.
And I think was my father had 4 girls. You know, he's getting his retirement pay. So, you know, we didn't get the Jordans and the this and the that. So I was the hustle girl.
Right.
I was like literally hustle girl. When it snowed, I was the only girl out there. My sister
Shoveling grass, the snow for people to make money and stuff. Yeah.
$300 is 10 houses.
I know. But that was
to get that money.
But that was what was in you to like, yeah, I gotta help provide for my sisters in this situation. Just like
they wanted the Jordans.
Right.
So they had Jordans and I had the $5 sneakers on, but I never cared about how I looked.
Exactly. And that was exactly how my way was. Because I was the eldest. And so I didn't let them know that there wasn't no Santa Claus, even though my mother had told me by the time I was in kindergarten, and I got in trouble because I told the other kids. My parents had to come to school. My mother and father had to come to school. Because I told the rest of the kindergartners that there was no Santa Claus. And my father didn't know that. My mother had told him that. And he was like, but that's, my mother treated me like an adult. I was her friend because she was living in this abusive relationship with this husband. And remember, there was no support groups for women back then. No boundaries.
And you know what? I might have to chime in on that. I talk to my daughter. She's my daughter, but I tell her everything.
Now, that is called enmeshment, and it's not good. But it's understandable because you go through this, and you need to talk to somebody, or else you're going to go crazy, right?
Like, even to this day, like, when we go into stores and stuff, my kids, they should take my keys. Because I used to, going through so much mentally, leave them places. So, after being stuck at home, and I would do it often.
Because you're tired of taking care of people. You're tired of being responsible for people.
I was stuck at Walmart for 4 hours. After we stuck at Walmart for 4 hours, my kids and my daughter still does it. We take the keys out my hand, and I'm like, where's my keys at? And she's like, I got them. Put them on the counter. I still do it. So she takes that responsibility or different responsibilities on her own.
Right, because she has to navigate life with you. Because we all have our things, we all have our ways. Our children have to learn how to adjust to our ways also in order to survive.
But maybe I get it.
Hey, it doesn't, listen, it takes years. It takes years to get these bad habits, and it takes years to get a handle on them. And as long as you start, right? You take one step towards the gods, and the gods will take 10 steps towards you. All you gotta do is be open to change and understand the only thing that you can change is yourself, right? Like in the 12-step program, give me the wisdom to change the things I can, to accept the things I cannot, and the wisdom to know the difference. Serenity prayer. So start with that. Ask your ancestor to help you create serenity in your environment at home. You get it?
Yep, I get it. I'm going to start driving back because...
And I'm going to get off of here, too, because it's 2 hours now. And,
has it been that long?
It's been longer than that. It's only been 2 hours that I've been recording it, but we were talking earlier than that. But I'm going to send this to you as soon as I get off of here and upload it, all right? And I can share it with the community. And I thank you for your acknowledgement and for your humility and your honesty and your validation. I appreciate it so much.
And our conversation did mean a lot to me today, and I really do appreciate you.
Anytime. I'm always here for you guys. Always here for you guys. And I'll talk to you later on, all right? But you drive home safely.
All right, love you.
I love you too, all right? And tell your sisters I said hey.
Yes,
Even Patricia.
I don't think she feel like that no more.
I know she had to grow out of it, but you can tell her about our conversation.
She's around like 2 kids of her own now.
Right, she probably don't even remember how evil she used to look at me sometimes. But just tell her I said hey.
She's not knows Brett. What does she know?
I know. That's okay. All right, my love. You be
All
well.
right,
bye bye. Okay, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to share this with you. I hope that you all were able to hear that, and I'll be talking to y'all real soon. Okay? All right. Bye.